to finish. They were like being in the playoff scenario. String, you having it up just a bit. Able to see the nice transition bases, getting the dream team. That's the 76ers any point in his career. I'm going to go with working together as well. Or finish. They were like, they keep this momentum going. At the same time, I just can't wait for the chance to do, dunk it and either, that's. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 6 for 6 on this glorious Saturday, September 4th, 2021. Season 1, Episode 9 for 6 for 6. Today, I got some fantastic college football sports for y'all today. Let's get down to business. Today, we're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. First time on Twitch for our viewers who are out there listening to us today. But to save us some time, let's just get down to business and go into, some of our not predictions, but some of our games that we have listed for 6 for 6 today. If you have games I don't mention, feel free to comment and I will read them off so I can, give you, your props on today's show. But the first game that we have today on this list, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be Oregon State versus Purdue tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time on FS1. This is a great, evening game. Obviously, there's a lot of better games out there in the day, but the reason why I put it in 6 is Purdue is going to cause some havoc into this game, ladies and gentlemen. Purdue has a 75.7% chance of winning this football game, and it's at Purdue. It's a night game, so Oregon State could be running to a trap game basically in week 1. We all remember what happened when Ohio State went into a night game at Purdue. They got slaughtered. Let's just be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, on that. So Oregon State is running to the same environment. I don't know if Purdue's doing a blackout for this game or anything, but it's a night game at West Lafayette. Let's see what ends up happening, ladies and gentlemen, into this game. Before I go into, game 5, let's read some of our comments from our viewers. We have John Alcorn. He's saying, "What's up, my dude?" Casey King says, "What's up?" Great to have you guys tuning in for today's program. And then he has, "I got Purdue bearing Oregon State." I'm guessing you're supposed to say beating Oregon State, but I we can go with bearing on that, ladies and gentlemen. But it's definitely going to be something interesting to that game nonetheless. Next up, we have, ladies and gentlemen, number 5, a nice solid matchup. We got Texas Tech versus Houston tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern at 4 p.m. Pacific time on ESPN. Yeah, if you don't want to see Purdue, take care of Oregon State, here's another good solid matchup. Texas Tech, like I said, last year, they took Texas into overtime. Though they fell a little bit short in that game, it just shows that Texas Tech can hang with the big dogs. But don't count Houston out. Houston has that explosive offense to keep them as a contender into this football game. So this is going to be one of those, shootouts that we see down in Texas. It's perfect. 2 Texas schools going at it. It's going to be, I wish it was like a noon kickoff so you can have a high noon showdown because that's kind of a big thing in Texas. But hey, nonetheless, we get a nice Texas game tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on ESPN, ladies and gentlemen. Tune into that game if you don't want to watch any of the other big matches that we have listed in today's program. But hey, this is a good, solid program. We got another comment coming in for you all today, ladies and gentlemen. And from the MI6, ladies and gentlemen, we got Purdue is definitely going to win this game. Yeah, for the Oregon State game, I could definitely see that happening in that sense, ladies and gentlemen. But we got to see what happens. Like I said, ESPN has a 75% chance to win that game. And Casey King, going back to the Texas game, definitely a shootout. I'm going to go with Texas Tech with a win by 1 point. I think we're going to agree with you on that. It's going to definitely be a shootout, 1 point difference. Maybe we'll get an overtime game. Who really knows what this game's going to happen? I hope it's a high-scoring game where it's like, 56, to 52, something like that, or within that ballpark. Definitely coming down to the wire. Maybe we get a 60-point game out of this because we know how the Big 12 really doesn't play defense, and Texas Tech really doesn't really have one. But, Big 12 puts up points. And boo, Oregon State will be blowing them out, according to Isaiah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to game number 4. It's dear and near dear to my heart. It's some Big Ten love again, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, I have a lot of Big Ten picks coming through. But we have West Virginia at Maryland today at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific on ESPN, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have some country roads in West Virginia. 2 solid matchups into this ranking, ladies and gentlemen. And, I'm not going to doubt West Virginia. West Virginia is a solid school, really, trying to make a dent in the Big 12 since, eventually Texas and Oklahoma will be leaving in 2025, I want to say. But at that point, that means that's bigger room for West Virginia to take that conference and dominate the Big 12. So we could see, in future years to come, West Virginia leading that surge in the Big 12 if the Big 12 is still around at that point in time. Or it depends who else joins the Big 12 into that matchup. But like I said, this is a solid matchup between 2 good teams. Definitely going to be a high anticipated game. I don't think it's going to be a lot of scoring. Maybe it's going to be like a similar to an Ohio State-Minnesota game where it's like 45-31 type of ball game. But we'll have to see. Maybe it's going to be a 28-21 type of game. Depends how the defense play out and fan out into this matchup, ladies and gentlemen. But like I said, West Virginia has a 51.3% chance of winning according to ESPN. So you can see how this game is pretty evenly matched up, and that's why it sits in the 4th spot today, ladies and gentlemen. Before I reveal number 3, I'll read some of our comments going through. We have, with the MI6 with the Houston game, we have, Houston winning. And yes, I am biased, yes. And Casey King has a good score prediction on this one. 20-16, West Virginia end up pulling this game out, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to agree with that, but it's like I said, there's going to probably be a couple turnovers that are going to be key on swaying in this game. But, let's see what West Virginia goes. And if they win, we're going to get some country roads, and, they're going to advance being 1-0 this season. But like I said, we have to continue to see what ends up happening as that game, happens later on in the day. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we'll, go into our number 3 selection. I think the top 3 are all ranked matchup in the top 25, and they're ranked for a respectively good reason. To really start us off tonight, well, not tonight, this morning, ladies and gentlemen, is Indiana versus Iowa, 17 versus 18. 2 teams that are literally swapping spots, as you can see. But it depends how these teams play. I think this game is respectably rated for number 3 for this reason. This game is very pinnacle for both of these teams in their respective sides of the divisions in the Big Ten. Iowa is a solid team in the Big Ten West. Normally gets, 9 wins, maybe 10 depending on how the year is, but they're a team that normally goes 9-3. But Indiana, on the other hand, last year they got robbed. They were able to play majority of their Big Ten games, though they lost to Ohio State with one loss. They make the win requirements, but don't go to the Big Ten championship. Ohio State goes in with 5 wins to the Big Ten championship game undefeated. And Indiana, being people who are Indiana fans, they're kind of salty. So now it's a full season. You got your 12 regular games that you have to play. They don't play Ohio State this year. So if they can run the table with the schedule that they have, ladies and gentlemen, this is what they need. This is all they have to do. They have to just win out. And then that's all they have to do. Just win out. Indiana gets it, and they'll be back in the Big Ten championship picture. That's all they got to do. But the key question to this, ladies and gentlemen, is it going to be enough? Can they, keep moving their way up, keep getting in those ranks, trying to get to that 4th spot in the college football playoffs? But at the same time, you got to take care of business with the ranked opponents that they have in their schedule. And according to ESPN, ladies and gentlemen, they have Iowa winning this football game with a 58.3% chance of winning this football game. Still a smidge close, but leaning towards 60. But I think Indiana is going to probably come out hungry, trying to make a statement saying, hey, you gypped us from getting to the Big Ten championship. We're going to run this table, and we're going to start by defeating, number 18 Iowa, making a statement in this game. If they take care of business with Iowa and really dominate this game, now you have a true, contender, second place contending matchup in the Big Ten East, as Penn State's trying to rebound in their season from last year from going to an 0-5 start. Michigan trying to, recover from those hiccups that they had last year as well. So who's trying to get into that second place spot? to challenge Ohio State in trying to, dethrone them of their Big Ten championship streak in the East. But before I reveal number 2, I will read a couple of our comments that we have coming in. We got a question from MI6. Question for you, Trevor. What's the most underappreciated, looked game, but will be the most exciting? Well, based on the games that I saw that I'm seeing, I may put the Texas and Louisiana game in the mix because it's the two teams in the lower half of the top 25, though Texas is a big name. But it's just like Louisiana. They're not normally typically ranked. They normally sit at the bottom of the top 25, but if they're trying to make a surge and make it like at least get to the top 15 by the end of the season, I would say that's a huge achievement for Louisiana. Definitely going to be something interesting in that. And then I want to say, before I get back to John's comment, he's going to say, the Indiana game is, his prediction is going to be 26-23 in that match. But yeah, I'm going to agree with Casey King. Yeah, this is definitely something going to be in that matchup for sure. It's going to come down to the wire. And like I said, I think it's at it's at Iowa. So you got that hostile environment. And a lot of these top 25 matchups are going to be some schools in the Big Ten with full capacity stands. So we saw in the Ohio State-Minnesota game, it's a different environment for these teams. It's been a close game. Though Ohio State has played close first quarters in the past, this is going to definitely be key in a lot of these matchups in the top 25 when some of these schools haven't played with fans in over a year. This is going to be a key critical thing about it. And I want to say, John asked that question from earlier about the, underrated, appreciated games. And back with the MI6, he's saying, I think this is still John, saying, boo, Louisiana. Like I said, Texas has been on their up and down. They got to be consistent. They got to get back to, an 11-1 season or a perfect season in that sense to give them a shot at the Big 12 title game and, get to the college football playoffs. They haven't done it yet. So that's what they have to do. They got to win the Big 12 to get them in. And yes, John, yes, this is you. Boo OU and boo Baylor. And let's, do a quick recap before I reveal the top 2 spots for those who are joining into our program. Let's do a quick recap. We got number 6, Oregon State versus Purdue tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on FS1. Like I said, this is a night game at Purdue. Oregon State might be running to a trap game early in the season, and this is going to be very critical for them in this season to really see what ends up happening. Can they, survive Purdue, or will they fall and be 0-1 in this season, ladies and gentlemen? Next up, we got the shootout in Texas, ladies and gentlemen. Texas Tech, Houston tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on ESPN. This is the Texas showdown, ladies and gentlemen, taking care of business in the Lone Star State. I think, Houston's going to be explosive, keeping them in this game. But Texas Tech, you can't sleep on them. Last year, they took Texas into overtime. Though they fell a little bit short, I think this is going to be a good game. Don't know who's going to come out on top, but I'm leaning to Houston pulling out in this game, ladies and gentlemen. Let's make it clear on that. I think Houston going to have an interesting fourth quarter to keep them in this ball game. It's probably going to be in the final 3 minutes where Houston's going to try to make either a comeback to take the lead or something like that to siege it and make Texas Tech try to drive down with 30 seconds. There's not going to be enough time for them to go down and score. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, number 4, West Virginia, Country Roads. Can they take care of business in Maryland today at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific on ESPN? Like I said, can West Virginia do it? Maryland's a solid team, young talented team. Can put points up on the board if they have to. But like I said, West Virginia got to take care of things to make sure they have a good contention shot in the Big 12. Like I said earlier, Indiana, Iowa, 17 versus 18 today at 3:30 p.m. 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific on the Big Ten Network. Big Ten showdown at its prime. This is a good classic matchup, though it's not, the game that I, put as the top Big Ten game of the day, but this is definitely a key matchup that you all should tune into if you have the time to in your schedule. Before I reveal number 1 and number 2, I will go and read some of our comments. What we got here. From John, as a Texas fan, I agree. We haven't been great since the Colt McCoy season year. Hey, John, don't forget Sam Ehlinger, was able to defeat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. So, there was there. But then after that, they had, tough season in there. We got, Boo Texas Tech, let's go Houston, according to John. And the only good the Houston football team in Houston. Yes, Houston has done it. And hint, it's not the Texans. And Kirsty Wilson has said, go Iowa. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's, bring on the top two matchups today, ladies and gentlemen. Top two. Obviously, I think you all know what the top two matchups are. The noon kickoff game, Penn State versus Wisconsin in Madison, Wisconsin. Big noon kickoff on Fox, 9 a.m. Pacific time, a.m. So, this matchup, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is pinnacle for Penn State compared to Wisconsin. Wisconsin can, afford this loss and still, get to the Big Ten championship game, either defeat Ohio State or whoever comes out in the Big Ten East and still get to the college football playoffs with one loss. That can be done for Wisconsin. They just have to, contain that spot in the, within the top 10. So if they dip down to like 13 or something like that or 14, they still in a good shot for the hunt for the playoffs. But Penn State, ladies and gentlemen, this team, I would have to say, after last year going with an 0-5 start to their season, this is pinnacle for Penn State to come back and make a surge. I know Penn State's a good football team, like I said, but fans are back in the stands. This is no doubt about it going to be a tough, hostile environment for Penn State. It's going to be a thriller from start to finish, no doubt about it for Penn State. But if they want to win this football game, they're going to have to be disciplined. They're going to have to be able to they have to stop Wisconsin's run game because Wisconsin's a strong running school. If they can't do that, it's going to be a long game for Penn State, ladies and gentlemen, a long game for them. So you have to be able to take care of that. If they can stop the Wisconsin run, I guarantee you Penn State can probably pull out this dub in this game, ladies and gentlemen. But it's going to come down to that Wisconsin run game. If Wisconsin can establish the run and be able to keep going and get some play action here and there and keep Penn State on their toes, it could go the other way, and Wisconsin can walk out with the W in their home opener today, ladies and gentlemen. But like I said, tune into this game to really get yourself, into the college football spirit as we enter week one. But before I reveal our top one spot, before I reveal the top one spot, let me give you the percentage of who's going to win this game. According to ESPN, ladies and gentlemen, they have Wisconsin winning with a 57.3% chance of winning this football game, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, it's still a 50% chance, like over 50% chance. Though it's not a solid 60, but it can go either way on how this matchup sits. A 50% or higher doesn't always guarantee you a victory, though you are the favorite. But that means one of your players could go injured, and that 57% could go to Penn State, and you got Penn State winning with the 53% chance. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, before I reveal the number one spot, I think we all know who the number one spot's going to be. I wouldn't even have to mention it. Y'all could comment in the top spot as you want and all of that stuff. Kirsty Wilson says, go Penn State. For Texas to have a successful season, they have to make the college football playoffs and have and actually be truly disciplined. Yeah, John, I'm going to have to agree with you on that. Texas has to be able to take care of business in the Big 12 right now. They have to win it. If you don't, even if they fall short, and let's say, they're a 10-2 Texas team and they don't make the college football playoffs, I don't think that's a bad season. They'll still get a New Year's 6, and that's fine. They'll get a good, respectable matchup and bounce back. But like I said, they haven't been to the college football playoffs. They had a couple times they've been to the the Big 12 championship game and got beat by Oklahoma. It's been like that. For them to get in, they have to take care of Oklahoma. It's the bottom line. It's the gateway to the college football playoff. These, conference championship games are like a preliminary to the college football playoffs. It's the best teams from the respectable conferences. And then after you get that, you play the best teams is right there at the bottom line. And Wisconsin, Casey King has Wisconsin winning 23-17. As it's going to be, it's a bad season. And John says, I'm tired of selling for a 10-2 or a 10-3 season. It is like that, but at the same time, when you start playing, teams in the New Year's 6 who also have the same record, that's kind of a bit harsh. But at the same time, if you're getting to a New Year's 6 and competing for that, yeah, there's a couple games where, you get outplayed or an out-of-conference match doesn't go your way, and then you lose to an in-conference game, stuff like that. That happens, but having that consistency, getting to a New Year's Six, there's nothing to be ashamed of to be about it. It's, there's some schools that don't get an opportunity. For example, let's say Wisconsin wins it, but they don't get to the college football playoffs, but they still get a Rose Bowl. So it's like, it's not bad. So, but at the same time, obviously, you're trying to get to the, national championship game and winning it all and all that stuff. But at that, it really is. John, I know you're a harsh Texas football fan at the same time, but at the same time, getting to the college football playoff is not easy in the Big 12. You can't afford a loss for them. Same with the Pac-12. You can't afford a loss in the Pac-12 to make it in. It's the bottom line. Only 4 teams can make it. There's, the Power 5. There's 5 conferences that are top dogs, but one of them gets left out. That's the bottom line. So far, it's been the Pac-12, but the Pac-12 has to go undefeated for them to get in. Same with the Big 12. But we're seeing, Notre Dame can slip into the picture and all that stuff. But at the bottom line, it's really that. And for Texas to be relevant, they have to make the college football playoffs. I don't think that's the case. I think they just have to be able to keep playing, having 10-2 seasons, 11-1 seasons, and like you said, getting to the college football playoffs would make them irrelevant. But as we've seen, if you get to the college football playoffs, that doesn't make you irrelevant. We've seen teams get blown out, and Oklahoma. Just saying, you got to be able to contend in these college football playoffs. Teams are getting slaughtered in the being the 4th team versus the 1 seed. The 2 and 3 teams have been solid matchups. There haven't been much of a blowout in that spot, but the 1 and 4 have been blowouts, and Texas will probably fall to the number 4 spot. They will probably either face an Ohio State or they will face an Alabama in that situation, and that's not pretty. You can't hang with those teams who put up, almost 60 points a game, and your defense is not on tip-top shape. You're out of the picture, ladies and gentlemen, in that one. And exactly, for Texas, according to John, can't afford that small mental mistakes on that chance for the playoffs this year. So, going with that. And Kirsty Wilson really says it the best. College football is just so unpredictable. And like I said, we can see what happens tonight in the number 1 situation in this game, ladies and gentlemen. The most unpredictable game, the game that's going to be on everyone's radar, whether you're a college football fan or not. The game, Georgia versus Clemson. I believe this game's at a neutral site. Kind of disappointed. I wanted to be at Clemson so the SEC can actually see a hostile environment versus a neutral site. Because Georgia, ladies and gentlemen, it's a running back school. It's a running back factory. Easy said and done. I know JT Daniels is a fairly respectable quarterback, but, you can't leave out Clemson quarterback DJ Yuga. I'm not going to pronounce his last name. I don't want to butcher it. We're just going to call him DJ. They're just going to save my pronunciation and all the memes I'm going to get for, pronouncing his name wrong. But, DJ, literally for Clemson, he had a good game against, when Trevor Lawrence got COVID. He put up 400 yards against Notre Dame. He's not a quarterback to sleep on. He's a guy who can ball out. So, like I said, Clemson is really good hands, though it's a big matchup. And though, he lost that Notre Dame game, but it was only by a field goal, I want to say, or an overtime loss. It's really saying Clemson has just been reloaded. They're going back to the college football playoffs. I'm just going to probably put that out there. They're probably going to go back. After this game, their schedule is not difficult at all. So if they lose this game, it's 1 loss. They'll still probably get in. Though their schedule is weak and they don't have any more ranked opponents, but if winning this game does it, it's basically the only win they really need to really contend for to really solidify the college football playoffs. Georgia, on the other hand, this loss is going to be critical. That's going to put them in that teeter-totter that, if I lose the next game, I'm out of the college football playoff picture. And their road's not easy. Later, they play Auburn. Auburn is a team that is a trap game. They can either have a great year or a really bad year. Auburn's really unpredictable, and Georgia could rock into that as a terrible trap game, and they lose. And then their also opponent in their division is Florida. Florida's nothing to sleep at either. I know, Kyle Trask graduated and all that stuff, but at the same time, it's like Florida, can bounce back and easily stun Georgia, and Florida goes into the SEC championship game and trying to get a bid to the college football playoffs. But at the same time, Georgia's been close to the SEC title game for so long. though they have fallen short so many times. It's like, Ohio State getting to the Big Ten championship game every year, and then you just lose. That's basically what it's equivalent to. I know Ohio State's better than Georgia. I'm just going to put that out there as a straight, clear fact because, Georgia's only been to one college football playoff. Ohio State has been to a couple more. I'm just putting that out there, ladies and gentlemen. But, yeah, this is a key matchup in this. And literally, ESPN has Clemson winning with a 69% chance to win this football game, ladies and gentlemen. It's straight, simple, bottom line. Clear as day, ladies and gentlemen, and all that stuff. But let me read some of our comments before I do a quick recap of all the games that we have and bring this show to a close for that. And Georgia who, John? I get that. Kirsty Wilson is rooting for Clemson in this game. Games in Charlotte at the Panther Stadium. Thank you for that, Casey King. Next up on that, the MI6 Alabama. Boo on that, ladies and gentlemen. Casey King has Clemson being overrated Georgia. Yes, Isaiah, Georgia is overrated according to Casey King. 35-24. I can respect that score right there, ladies and gentlemen. Like that. And I'm guessing boo for Florida. Yeah, the MI6, y'all should just start using your Facebook so I can know who's saying this stuff because it's really hard to tell. Either Isaiah's saying it or John. I really don't know. Thinking about some of the great running backs that Georgia has had, yeah. You got Herschel Walker, Nick Chubb, Sony Michel. Like, Georgia's a running back factory. It's clear as day. It's one-dimensional. I know they try to, accumulate the pass and all that stuff, but at the same time, it's really, remarkable. Even like John says, Todd Turkey or Todd Gurley? Todd Turkey. Oh, man, that's pretty clever. That's pretty good right there, John. I'll give you that one. And thank you, John, for tuning in and all those who have tuned in today so far. But, yeah, it's like I said, Georgia is the team that is the perfect second-place finisher. If you give it a team who's the best second place overall for finishing second, give that to Georgia. They win that hands down. No questions asked. It's the second-place team out of the SEC. That's basically what they are. There's no way looking around it. They go, 10-2 almost every year, and it's just like that. And if it was for Isaiah, food would have been mentioned. Yes. Yep. Food would have been mentioned. But as we bring this program to a close, let me just do a quick recap for all those who've tuned in and missed some of the games along the way as we bring this program to a close. We got, Oregon State versus Purdue tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time on FS1. Next up in the 5 spot, we have Texas Tech and Houston tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time on ESPN. Like I said, this is the Texas shootout, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm going to call this game, the showdown of Texas, the Lone Star State showdown. Next up, we have West Virginia, Mountain Mama, West Virginia, Country Roads, West Virginia taking on Maryland today at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific time on ESPN. Next up, we got some top 25 matchup, ladies and gentlemen. We have Indiana number 17 versus Iowa number 18 today, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific time on the Big Ten Network. Good classic Big Ten showdown today, ladies and gentlemen. And that matchup, tune into that game for sure. Next up, we got Penn State number 19 versus Wisconsin number 12 in Madison, Wisconsin. Noon kickoff, high noon showdown, ladies and gentlemen, 9 a.m. Pacific time on Fox. Big noon kickoff. Make sure you tune in today after my broadcast so you can get your college game days in and, big noon kickoff on Fox. Make sure you tune into that. And next up, we have the game of the day, the primetime game. If you don't tune into this game, I understand we have lives outside, but, listen to the radio if you have the chance and all that stuff. But definitely Georgia, Clemson, 5 versus 3 at Panther Stadium tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific on ABC, ladies and gentlemen. Yep, that is the game of the week, ladies and gentlemen. If you tune in for that, I understand we got a lot of stuff going in. I know NFL starts next week, so I will try to encompass, split it up between, 3 college football games that I want to pick and then 3 NFL games that I want to pick. And I'll probably, no particularly high-ranking order in that sense, but, breaking it up, I'm more of a college football fan. It's easy to, see how good these teams really are, and that's why we'll probably put the college football teams in the top 3 and the NFL teams in the bottom 3, because NFL is really hard to predict on. Who are the good teams, but college football, there's just way more unpredictability, and there's more fun and trap games involved in that. But let me read our final 2 comments before I sign off today, ladies and gentlemen. We have that boo Texas Tech again, and then Georgia getting spanked by Clemson. That basically will sum up that Georgia and Clemson game. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in for Season 1, Episode 9 of 6 for 6 today, ladies and gentlemen. It's been fantastic reading the fantastic comments that all of you have put in today's show. Loved everyone who tuned in. Thank you for listening. Enjoying your Saturday. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend. Please be safe out there. Enjoy your time with families and friends on this Labor Day weekend. Enjoy some college football. If you're going to any of these games and have tickets, make sure you be safe. Be responsible. Drink responsibly. Have a good time. Vibe with the fans, that you're with. Give high fives when your team scores a touchdown. If you're in that hostile environment and you're just being that, that annoying fan, please be respectful around the people around you. You don't want to get into a fight and get thrown out. Just be respectful, and in that sense, just trying to have a good time and all that stuff. And enjoy your time at these events. We don't want anyone to get kicked out of stadiums or being banned, so please be respectful for the time that you go into the stadium. But that will be it. Glad that college football is back and underway, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy your nice long weekend. Take care. See you all on the next 6 for 6, ladies and gentlemen. And that will be all for now. Enjoy the games for today.